Ilia Topuria is going to lose control of the lightweight division before he ever throws another punch. And the craziest part is, it won't be decided by Gaethje, Pinblit, or Sarukian. It will be decided in silence, paperwork, and a storm that exploded completely outside the octagon, and you're about to see exactly how a champion's reign started collapsing without anyone realizing it.
Now you have this layered on top of it, domestic violence. Now, is it true or not? We do not know.
Ilia Topuria, domestic violence allegations detonated the UFC lightweight division overnight, flipping what looked like a smooth, dominant championship reign into one of the most chaotic and uncomfortable situations the sport has faced in years. Because when the word champion collides with accusations this serious, the belt instantly becomes secondary and the damage spreads faster than any knockout highlight ever could.
Ilia Topuria is facing threats of domestic violence from his now ex. Ilia Topuria stated, quote, "In recent months, I've been subjected to severe and unacceptable pressure, including threats to disseminate false allegations of domestic abuse unless financial demands were met. How essentially this is a matter of evidence, and all relevant evidence has been carefully preserved and documented, including audio recordings, written communications, witness statements, and video material." Yeah, okay, we have a little bit of a good reason as to why bro is not fighting. I think that dealing with any sort of false allegations like this is far more important than getting into the octagon as fast as possible. As much as we all want to see Ilia defend his belt against Arman, against the winner of Paddy versus Gaethje, I understand he's got to take his time. Like, this is far more important. The thing that people don't understand is that false allegations can ruin your life, even if you prove it's not true. Even if you fight till the end that it is not true at all, it doesn't matter. That's going to be a part of your reputation for the rest of your life, regardless of whether or not the allegations are true or not. And essentially, people are going to associate you as this abuser because someone said so, because a lot of people tend to believe one person over the other because they might not like a certain person, or whatever the case is. People tend to have their own biases, so this is a very serious matter, and I hope that Ilia Topuria comes out of this unscathed.
Topuria didn't disappear because of injury, negotiations, or burnout. He vanished because his real fight suddenly wasn't scheduled for 5 rounds. It was happening behind closed doors with consequences that can follow a fighter forever, and that's the part fans don't fully grasp yet. Because this situation doesn't end when the cage door shuts, it sticks, it stains, and it reshapes legacies whether proven false or not.
Ilia Topuria has just stated as to why he won't be coming back anytime soon to defend his belt. It's because his wife is accusing him of DV, if y'all know what that means. I don't want the video to get taken down. It's a very serious allegation, and it's recently just been confirmed by Ilia himself, even though we sort of had other sources telling us the same thing. That being said, I think Arman might be a bit more sympathetic as to why the lightweight division is being stalled right now. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I was one of those people. Hopefully this man gets his kids back and we won't see Justin Gaethje suffer the poorest divorce, Ilia Topuria, without his kids.
At just 26 years old, the undefeated Georgian Spanish phenom was riding the absolute peak of his career, fresh off a brutal knockout of Charles Oliveira that crowned him lightweight champion on top of his featherweight gold, and people weren't asking if he'd defend. They were arguing about how long he'd dominate, how active he'd be, and whether anyone alive could stop him at 155.
These allegations are entirely unfounded. The truth is not a matter of opinion, it is a matter of evidence. All relevant evidence has been carefully preserved and documented, including audio recordings, written communications, witness statements, and video material. This evidence has been submitted to appropriate judicial authorities in order to pursue legal action for attempted extortion, falsification of evidence, misappropriation of funds and personal property, and multiple threats. My initial decision to remain silent was made solely to protect my children, who are the most important part of my life. However, I've come to understand that silence under these circumstances does not protect the truth. It allows false narratives to take hold. Many individuals have faced similar situations, and time and again, the legal system has ultimately clarified the facts. Today, I'm stepping forward not only for my family and myself, but also to demonstrate that no one should be forced to yield to intimidation, manipulation, or fear. Those who know me can attest that I've never engaged in violence of any kind, and that my life and career have always been guided by discipline, respect, and integrity. I have full confidence in the judicial process and will allow the legal system to determine the facts based on evidence. Out of respect for my children and the ongoing legal proceedings, I will not be making any further public statements. I respectfully ask that speculation be avoided and that my family's privacy be honored during this sensitive time. The truth does not require volume, it requires facts. Thank you, Ilia Topuria. So that is heavy duty stuff. Obviously, we knew that he was going through some personal issues and there's rumors online, and I didn't want to partake in any of those. I had not heard any of this. I had not heard any of these allegations or rumors, innuendo, any of that.
Then suddenly, the momentum vanished. The division froze. And in November, Topuria quietly told the UFC he needed time away, offering no details and letting speculation spiral completely out of control. Because when champions go silent, fans don't wait for facts. They create narratives, and those narratives always turn ugly fast.
I kind of knew this was the situation when Ilia first announced that he was going to be stepping away. I'll mention that at some point in this video. Bryce Mitchell has immediately weighed in on the situation aggressively, had a lot of harsh words for Ilia Topuria. Early doors on the whole situation, but Bryce Mitchell has massively condemned Ilia Topuria and gone after him, and he's angling. I guess he's pushing now for a fight with Alejandro Topuria and said he's down to fight him. They're both in the same weight class now at bantamweight, so that could be something that comes from this as well. Bryce Mitchell versus Alejandro Topuria, and the Nelk Boys clip from a while ago. We'll see if that ages well in hindsight once we go through this whole court situation, because I'm going to read you the statement here, and this is what it comes down to. Ilia Topuria's official statement. He comes out with this, gets ahead of the stories, gets ahead of the news before they break it down or before we randomly find out about it as they're going through the court situation. And this is it.
That silence finally broke when Topuria revealed the real reason for his absence, claiming he was facing completely fabricated domestic abuse allegations being used as leverage against him, accusations he says escalated into direct threats and financial demands. And this is where the story turns dangerous, because he didn't hedge, he didn't soften it, he flat out said the claims were false and provable.
Well, I got something for you. It's called the Wife Beater Special. That's right, I got my wife beater on for Ilia Topuria. That puts his hands on a woman. You know, I grew up without a dad. You know, never seen my dad, never will see my dad. And you know what? I'd rather not see my dad than have my dad there beating on my mom. Let me tell you something, what that'll get you killed around these parts, son. That shit no joke. There ain't nothing funny about it, and I just had to let you know you're a straight up for that. And your brother's a bitch too. I'll fight him, I'll beat his ass. You got lucky I was sick or I'd have beat your ass. And look, you don't deserve to get to see your kids, son, because you put your hands on their mother. You're a coward. That shit is sickening. Ilia, you need to repent, return to Jesus Christ, and if you repent, you won't rot in hell, bro. But you better really mean it, and you better really repent, and probably stop drinking too. You probably got a drinking problem, man. Return to Jesus Christ, you will be forgiven, and if not, you're gonna rot in hell, bro, because that's where women beaters go. One more thing for you, Ilia. Wives ain't like belts, okay? It ain't the more the merrier. You're supposed to have one man, one woman, to become one, okay? You're out running around working on your third wife now. Hell, you think they're championship belts, and you're trying to get 3 or 4. You're an idiot, dude. You need to take notes from a guy like me.
Topuria insists the stress wasn't about public opinion or headlines. It was about protecting his family and his children. Because once accusations like this exist, even rumors can follow kids to school, families to workplaces, and fighters into retirement. And that's why he made a choice most champions never want to make, stepping away from the spotlight at the exact moment it was burning brightest.
Me and Topuria's got the storyline built in. It's all there. It's half nice for me that he won the belt, even though I don't like him. I'd rather him not be a 2-division champ. It's better for me that he won the belt, because if Charles would have won, then I definitely would have had to fight someone else first. You know what I mean? But with Ilia having the belt, it's just a storyline's already set up. It's all ready to go. Exactly. So I don't understand why it's not announced and why it's not already made and written in a contract.
Instead of fighting this in interviews or social media clips, Topuria chose the coldest route possible, collecting recorded conversations, written messages, witness statements, and video material, and handing everything directly to judicial authorities, signaling that this wasn't about optics or sympathy, it was about evidence and consequences, and that move alone changed how the UFC had to respond behind the scenes.
But I think everyone's going to be shocked, to be honest, because I think I'm going to knock him out. So people won't expect that. People think I'm just going to try and grapple and take him down, when I'm not. I'm going to come out and I'm going to put it on.
Expecting an early knockout, a late knockout, somewhere in the middle?
I don't see him getting past the third, just like Chandler.
He's made it clear his goal isn't just clearing his name, but pursuing claims of extortion, threats, and manipulation of evidence, and whether fans believe him or not, the confidence he's shown suggests this situation is nowhere near its final chapter, because cases like this don't disappear quietly, they explode later when everyone thinks it's over.
Paddy's not bad, dude. Paddy's not bad. He's very beatable, and Gaethje's very beatable as well. But when it goes into the passion and how upsetting Justin Gaethje has always been about not getting that real title shot, and they just keep dangling it right there again, Paddy's in for a new treat, right? Paddy's the one that's never fought for a belt. He's going in there. He's going to be trying to, get that stuff. He's going to feel a little bit more fresher. He's going to have that little bit of excitedness, in my opinion.
The timing could not have been worse for the UFC because with its lightweight king sidelined indefinitely, the promotion had no choice but to move forward, booking an interim title fight between Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett for UFC 324, a decision that instantly fractured the fan base and quietly reshaped the future of the division, whether people want to admit it or not.
Paddy Pimblett, Justin Gaethje fighting for the interim title. Whoever wins that fight will move on to fight Ilia. And I don't think that there will be a title defense for the interim title. If I was to guess, if I was to bet, there will be no title defense of the interim title. I think that the next fight for whoever wins between Paddy and Justin, I think their next fight will be Ilia Topuria. So do not think they will defend the interim title. So good movement and clarity at 155 pounds. I feel for Arman Tsarukyan, but this fight's going to be incredible.
Some fans called it necessary survival. Others called it a robbery of deserving contenders. But what shocked many is that Topuria wasn't blindsided at all. He knew the plan, spoke with the UFC multiple times, and understood his situation wouldn't allow him to compete early in the year. And that acceptance tells you just how serious this really is.
That night 8 years ago, what's like the first thing that comes to mind when you think of that fight with Justin?
That I'm glad it's over and I never want to do it again. I'm like, the fans don't ever ask for a rematch or anything like that, because that would have never. I'm like, I'm glad. He's unique, man, and he's one of my favorite guys to watch. So like, but if you want to beat Justin Gaethje, you have to. So he's a forward fighter and a pressure fighter that he will stand in the pocket. And he's gonna throw everything he got in that pocket. If you don't meet him, you'll get chewed up. So Paddy, the way to beat a guy who like does this, very violent, aggressive pressure fighter, you have to meet him. You have to throw when he throws. So you got to be brave, and you got to go. You have to go when he goes in between his shots. If you do that, you got a fair shot. If you don't do that, if you're not brave and courageous and throw when he throws in between his shots, it's going to be a really long night. It's going to be a hard night for you.
Topuria publicly congratulated Gaethje and Pimblett, calling it the closest either may ever come to holding UFC gold, but he didn't relinquish his authority because buried inside that praise was a warning. The real belt still belongs to him, and whoever wins that interim title is only borrowing power until he decides to return.
They're not even like, they're just basically saying Paddy's more popular, you're getting it over Arman.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, right? And that's, I mean, God, I hate like how I kind of get into this too much, but I mean, that's really like, that's the definition of, a monopoly where a single promoter owns the title and the rankings. And it's not a good thing for the sport, in my opinion. And I have to question what it's going to do for the longevity of the sport. I don't think in the short term it's really going to make a big difference, right? Like, it's going to sell the next fight, right? It's going to sell the next pay-per-view. But trends tend to come and go, right? Fads tend to come and go. At some point, like, to have staying power and lasting power, I think it requires, a meritocracy-based system. It's going to require, some... if you want to bring in guys like Arman Tsarukyan or Movsar Evloev, I always mess up how I say his name. You want to bring in these Olympic wrestling level guys. I mean, they don't want to have to go out there and put on some ridiculous show to become a champion. They don't want to have to go on Instagram and start a podcast and make whatever kind of skits on social media and this silly kind of stuff. Like, they just want to be a world champion because they want to be the best athlete. And that's what makes me wonder how the staying power is going to be, right? When you're dealing with guys that are, legitimate athletes that want to be legitimate athletes, and they're getting passed up by guys that are entertainers.
As this legal storm unfolded, outside voices rushed in fast, loud, and reckless, and Bryce Mitchell became the most explosive of them all, openly claiming he believed the allegations without rulings, evidence, or restraint, escalating things from analysis to personal attacks in a way that shocked even seasoned fans. Mitchell didn't stop at criticism. He dragged Topuria's children into the conversation, questioned his right to custody, and even pulled his brother into the chaos, challenging him to a fight. And that level of personal venom instantly reframed the situation from debate to outright character assassination. This wasn't random either, because Mitchell and Topuria share history. Dating back to 2022, when both were undefeated prospects, and Topuria submitted Mitchell, handing him his first professional loss, and since then, their careers have gone in opposite directions, with Topuria climbing to double champ status, while Mitchell struggled to regain momentum. While Mitchell attacked, Paddy Pimblett shocked many by taking the opposite approach, softening his tone despite years of rivalry, trash talk, and controversy, including past comments that once inflamed tensions between them, and time has a strange way of forcing perspective when belts and families are involved. Topuria acknowledged Pimblett's ability to generate hype and entertainment, suggesting maturity comes from learning through mistakes, while Pimblett publicly wished him well and separated personal life from competition. But even in that sympathy was a hard truth, because Pimblett openly admitted that if Topuria can't return by summer, the belt may move on without him. That's the clock nobody wants to stare at, because divisions don't wait for champions in courtrooms. They crown new kings, and if Topuria's absence stretches too long, the interim title could quietly become permanent, rewriting history without a single unification bout ever happening. And that's what makes this entire saga so volatile, because when Topuria finally resolves this situation and looks toward the octagon again, he may find a division that no longer belongs to him, shaped by interim champions, marketing decisions, and fighters who took advantage of the silence he was forced into. Right now, Ilia Topuria is waiting. Not training camps, not contracts, but legal outcomes, and when that verdict finally lands, it won't just determine his return, it will decide whether this era of the lightweight division remembers him as a dominant champion who reclaimed his throne, or the king who lost everything without ever getting the chance to defend it.